looking back at the footage as well, I think I'm being a bit stingy with the product. On the third coat, the next stage coming, you'll definitely see that. Hello, this is Blaine Gray here from Plastering for Beginners, and today is the first time I'm going to try some Venetian plastering. Before we start, this is not a training episode. I've never done this before. This is literally my first go. So anything I do from now on is me getting experience. It's not me showing you how it's done, and I don't want anyone thinking that. I just want to take you on a journey of me learning Venetian plastering, and the first thing I want to do is just get used to troweling it, get used to the product, and I'm going to be doing some courses later this year, but for now, I just want to give it a go. So, without much effort, let's do it. So, from what I know, you put it on with the trowel. Then the first coat, we're trying to get fairly smooth. And within initial glance, it travels very far. Now again, I don't know if that's because I'm putting it on too lightly, but again, this is just me getting used to the product, me applying it, and I must admit, it's very smooth, very smooth. So they do use big trowels for this stage, but I just want to get used to using the proper Venetian plastering trowels. Like I said, me touching that now, it is dragging a little bit, so I think the idea is you get it on and then you leave it. Again, this is speculation, so please don't think I'm teaching you. I'm just trying. So I've got last section. Practice a little swirly techniques there. But yeah, I'm getting it flat-ish. That's the base coat. And my first go on. I'm going to leave that. Again, please let me know how that went. I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't have a clue. But that is the base coat. We're going to let that dry. I'm going to leave it overnight. I'm just going to carry on into the morning and keep adding layers to it. But tomorrow we're adding the colour. So it's quite a lengthy process. But yeah, it's first go. Happy. Okay, so it's been a day later. I'm going to apply the second coat of this Venetian plaster. Now, the difference is now I've added colour to it. I'm not too particular on what colour it is, to be honest. It came with it, but we've got some yellow looking Venetian. And again, it's not about the colour for me, it's not about preference. I just want to get some experience on it. So now they've got a second coat, this time added with colour. Then we get a final coat, which then is polished up. So the same process, we just add it and apply it to the board. So let's go for it. I'm just going to apply a bit onto it now. I've got a bit of colour there. Indeed. Whack it on. Now, I think I need to be applying this coat a bit thinner, to be honest, so I think I'm going to try and stretch it out a little bit. I think that's way too thick. Okay, now with this coat you'll clearly see the strokes and the application because of the colour. What I wanted to say, what becomes an apparent problem throughout the whole of this video actually, is my application. And it's where I'm putting the plaster onto the background and then troweling it from there. But if you look to the right of this space where I've been plastering, you'll see a lot of trowel marks, singular strokes horizontally there. And that becomes a theme that runs throughout this whole video actually. And it's the fact that I'm leaving the plaster to settle in lines. So I'm basically, wherever I'm applying and hitting the plaster on the board, it's leaving a line every time I'm doing it. So this is something I've really got to work on. And it's something I thought I'd point out right now, because watching back on the video, it's quite amazing how much you miss, really. So yeah, that is a thing that runs throughout the whole of this video. Look, there's about 4 lines right on top of each other now. I clocked on pretty fast because, again, it's the first time doing it, but the plaster and the Venetian plaster does dry a lot faster when it's been applied on top of itself. First coat, it's a bit... And I've got to be very careful about leaving some behind because it is leaving trowel marks. So from now on, I'm just applying the plaster in the best way I know and the only way I know at this point. But yeah, it's still a nice product to apply and it's quite smooth. But yeah, what I found my biggest downfall was the trowel techniques and the lines I was leaving behind. So keep watching this video and you'll notice it for yourself, because it does, especially in the third coat, you really see it stick out at that point. A very fast drying product actually. So I think put it on. Just why I'm quite happy I'm doing these trials, because I'm getting a bit of a sense of touch and how this product feels. Again, I'm not looking perfection, I'm just trying to get an idea. So the reason you use your smaller trowel is to try and give it distinctions, it's to give it movement, it's to try and give it a bit of texture within the colours. So that's the reason in Venetian plastering you use the small trowels, and that's what I'm finding is to be the hardest part, is trying to get that fluid movement, making it look random but at the same time making it look consistent. So it's definitely not an easy thing, but yeah, I suppose we just keep practicing, don't we? But so what I'm doing is trying to work the plaster into itself and make it kind of look one uniform texture, I suppose, but it's proving to be a lot harder than it looks. Looking back at the footage as well, I think I'm being a bit stingy with the product. On the third coat, the next stage coming, you'll definitely see that. But yeah, the coverage it's not as fluid as it should be really. So I'll definitely be trying using a bit more product next time, just testing different ways on how to apply it. But yeah, I think coverage is a bit of a problem at this point, and it is throughout the whole of this video really. Looking back at the footage as well, I think I'm being a bit stingy with the product. On the third coat, the next stage coming, you'll definitely see that. But yeah, the coverage it's it's not as fluid as it should be really. So I'll definitely be trying using a bit more product next time, just testing different ways on how to apply it. But yeah, I think coverage is a bit of a problem at this point, and it is throughout the whole of this video really. Looking back at the footage as well, I think I'm being a bit stingy with the product. On the third coat, the next stage coming, you'll definitely see that. But yeah, the coverage it's not as fluid as it should be really. So I'll definitely be trying using a bit more product next time, just testing different ways on how to apply it. But yeah, I think coverage is a bit of a problem at this point, and it is throughout the whole of this video really. So, I think I'm going to stop there. I don't want to play with it. I don't really want to polish it up. I want to keep it in a good state ready for the next coat, but it dries very fast on top of the base coat, very fast. And actually, if desired, you can polish that up, which I'm not going to do. Let's have a little look. I think consistency is a problem there. Gonna let that dry and then put the third and final coat on. Okay, so on a final coat, as you can see, it's dried a lot lighter, but there was a bit of texture there. I'm gonna show you actually. Try and get out of the way. Don't know if you can see much in this lighting, but there is a bit of texture. Again, it's probably not as well done as it should have been, but not bad for a first time, I suppose. But from what I learned on the last time is smaller quantities, I think, for the paint coats, and it's definitely it dries a lot faster. So I've given a trowel a quick sand down. I'm just going to give it a little brush, because this is the final stage. It's actually quite important to keep your trowel quite sharp, quite broken in. So I suppose this is the most important stage now. Everything's been leading up to this, but again, this is just practice for me. I'm not expecting too much out of this wall, but so yeah, I'm just going to give it a go, give it a blast, see what happens. So yeah, again, putting a tiny bit on this time. Really small motions. I'm going to try and try and get a bit of a texture going on. And again, don't know if I'm putting it on. A bit thick. And I suppose it's keeping that consistency as well. Right, so I think the third coat was actually my worst one. My idea was I'd use less to try and give it more of a texture. And there's just so many gaps seen there. And not only that, can you see the lines where I'm applying the plaster and you can see the trowel lines running through? That becomes a bad theme on this coat actually. And when in the end product, you actually see a lot of the lines where the plaster was applied and then troweled into itself. So I really wasn't a big fan of this coat. I mean, I thought it was going well at the time, but looking back at the footage, there's a lot of spots missing. There's a lot of lines, and it definitely doesn't look like one fluid piece of work. Especially in the centre there, there's a lot of lines where it just seems like there's a lot of vertical streaks running up in the plaster itself. So, you know, this is all just learning curves, isn't it? I've not done any training, not had any instruction, and like I said, I just wanted to use the product, but I'll be testing maybe next time to use it thicker. For any experts out there, is that the right way to do it? Am I putting it on too thin? or is it just the way I'm applying it? But either way, you really start to see the lines now. You start to see where my application was a bit shoddy, and it doesn't look uniform at all. It starts to look a bit like a patchwork quilt. And you know, I'm being critical of myself, but I'm a bit firm believer that as a beginner, I've got to be the most critical, because I've got a lot to learn. I've got a long way to go. So I've got to be looking at my work and thinking, where am I going wrong? Where can I improve? And not only that, why am I getting it wrong? Which is why I'm going to ask for you for help. If there's any experts out there, just let me know. Please hit and please criticise, because I want to know exactly the right way to do it. And like I said, I will be training, but it'd be nice in between. I'm just going to keep practicing and see how I get on off my own back, really. But yeah, looking back at it, application was shoddy, and it looks a bit cluttered, really, in my opinion, this coat. There's a lot of gaps, there's a lot of white sections, and a lot of areas where I've failed to blend the Venetian plaster into itself. But, you know, it just shows that it's an art, and it does take a lot of practice like anything. So, yeah, let's carry on. Let's see. I can feel it drying, and I can actually see in sections that it is drying. I'm going to clean the trowel up. I feel now is a good time to try and burn shit. Again, I'm just guessing. But looking at the state of it, I'm feeling it's could be a good time. So let's just give it a go. I've got nothing to lose here. I'm just giving the trowel a bit of a clean off. And it's actually getting a nice shine out of it now. I don't know on that section actually if it's pulling a bit. Getting a lot of trowel lines actually. And this section's nice. This section at the bottom, don't know if I've done it a bit soon. Well, I'll keep going. That's better. Open trowel. Ah, it's pulling it. I feel this top section had a decent amount of time. I feel this section is a bit soon for the section underneath. So what I'll do is I'm going to carry on, fill that in, and then come back, see what happens. Because again, I've got nothing to lose. So now we've got to work into that polished area. So I've got the rest of that area on. I'm just polishing it. what I'm learning is it's definitely a thing of timing. And you can over polish it, I think. But so it's got a shine. It's actually very smooth there. This side is pretty rubbish. I've pulled the paint away here. I've scratched that off. I think it's because I've over troweled it when it was too wet maybe. And I've also damaged a bit of a section there. So, and I don't know if I'm putting too much pressure on when I was doing it. But yeah, it looks very inconsistent with the markings. This shine isn't great, but there's a shine on it, as you can see from the light. It's definitely, well, you can see it reflecting the lights actually. I definitely need a lot of work doing it, but you know, as it goes, that's that. So yeah, there is a lot that goes into doing this, and this is a journey for me. Again, this wasn't a how-to video. This is me just wanting to try it off my own back before I started doing education. But I will be doing a lot more of these panels and trying to kind of get the grasps on when and where to start burnishing it, applying it, trying to get a bit more consistent with the application as well, because it is definitely staggered. I can see a lot of gaps. It's not a consistent pattern. So doing it isn't as easy as, I never thought it'd be easy, to be honest. I thought it'd be quite hard, and it is hard. But I've got hope doing it that, you know, it can be done. It's quite a nice experience. I've enjoyed it. And again, this wasn't a tutorial, so if anyone out there knows what they're doing and willing to give me some advice, just tell me where I went wrong. I want to hear it. I'm a beginner now in this trade, so I'm not going to be oblivious to criticism, because I need to hear it. So that is an example of me trying some Venetian for the first time. Not perfect, far from it. I've got a long way to go, but I'm quite happy with the results for a first timer. So this is Plain Grey Hair Plaster for Beginners. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and follow us on this journey, because I'm going to be doing a lot of this from now on, because I really want to get into it, because I can see it going somewhere in the industry of plastering, and it's just another string to the bow. So if you're a plasterer and you're thinking how to get into Venetian yourself, then now is a good time to subscribe, because I'm going to be going through exactly what I've been doing wrong. I'm going to be seeing and discovering the right way to do it. And despite this being the first video, I think it's going to be a pretty cool journey to go on. So yeah, thanks so much for watching Plain Grey Hair Plaster for Beginners, and I'll see you in a bit. Cheers.